We're here in New York City with Kev Brown,
Peace,
right?
peace.
Listening party, you know. So, Kev, what do you enjoy like most about coming to New York? You know,
Wow.
you made that trip up from Maryland.
I mean, it's rare that I only live like maybe 4 hours away driving, but it's still kind of rare that I even come up here. I want to try to, that's another reason for having a meet and greet is to like kind of just introduce myself to New York. Really, I've been, I haven't had a show up here in a long time, any type of real event, like, so maybe this can build up to even more events, and when we drop more stuff, like we have places to go up here, and just building a relationship.
As we look like back at your career before we go forward, looking back, it's been over a decade that you've been putting out joints. My first exposure to you was the joint that you did with Marley. From the What Ruin Means. Right?
Marley Marl.
Right? And
Yeah.
how did that
I think that was technically the first joint that ever came out.
Right? And so how did that open up? Because that's like where I first caught, to work with, DJ legend Marley Marl.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. That was, me and Grap did the joint. I know Grap from, he went to school in Maryland, and then this is old head stuff. Like
Right.
I know him from University of Maryland back when Peter Rosenberg used to host up there, and I met him, and we talked about doing the joint or whatever. We ended up doing the joint, and then one weekend we ended up going to New York. This was when Marley and Pete still had the Future Flavors, and we hung out with Pete and stuff, and Grap played him the joint, and he was like, yo, we're gonna play this on Future Flavors. Like, Pete was feeling it, so we went to Future Flavors. It's crazy. It's a crazy story. Like, saying it now, it sounds crazy. Future Flavors, and they played it on Future Flavors. Marley heard it, and met Marley Marl over. Marley had the House of Hits and all that. And eventually, I got a call on my answer machine from Marley Marl. It was like, yo, hit me back. I want to use, the joint. I guess like, because the whole BBE thing was cracking with the the Beat Generation. The Dilla had one, Pete Rock, and Will I Am, and all these other people had it. And it was one of those. And he was like, yo, we're going to use it. I was like, all right, and then after that happened, it's crazy because that happened, and then it didn't come out till like a while later. It's funny because at the same time when that stuff was happening, I was in Philly at A Touch of Jazz, and coincidentally, Jazzy Jeff was working on a BBE Beat Generation joint, and he needed help with production and stuff on that, and that's where the opportunity started, coming about. But yeah, that's where the What Ruin Means, and shoot, it came out. That was the first joint. Definitely.
You mentioned that it kind of segued into working with Jeff.
Yeah.
Right, on the Magnificent.
Because all of that stuff was happening like at the same time. At the same time with that, while I guess that was already done and being worked out, and then when I first started going to Touch of Jazz, like Jeff was working on his stuff, and then like De La Soul was working on their album, and Biz Markie was working on the album, and they all started coming through Touch of Jazz.
And is that how you wound up getting on De La's album and Biz's album?
Yeah, from being at Touch of Jazz, from being there, and then De La comes through, and like Jeff is like, I'm in the room working with Biz, and then like De La's in the other room with Jeff, and Jeff is probably like, yo, listen to this dude Kev, he got beats. So like that's where they picked the beat off of like one of the first beat tapes that I sent up to Philly.
Talk about tapes, y'all.
Well,
yeah,
I call them tapes still, but it was a CD, but I still call them a tape,
And but you were working on like analog like side of things at that time, right?
Back then I had it was digital, but it was still old school. I had a 4-track.
Right.
It was digital 4-track. It was like a mini disc. It took mini discs. And before that, I had the cassette 4-track.
Right.
I don't want to go too far back.
I heard what you're saying.
But yeah, around then I was rocking the 4-track and the MPC and had it like midied up to the 4-track.
And so who brought you into that fold?
Touch of Jazz or
well, because I mean, like you said, there was all these opportunities jumping on.
Man, that was like, that's all it was. Like, Grap he went to high school with this cat, Mike Phillips.
Okay.
He's I can't even remember no more. So long. I think he was a horn player. I can't remember if it was trumpet or the sax, but he went to high school with him, and he went to high school with him, and come to find out, he was on Hidden Beach Records, and Grap knew the dude. It's like one of those instances where Grap knew the dude, the inside dude.
Okay.
And somehow I sent him like Grap. This is how crazy Grap is. Grap was like, yo, they was looking for beats, so like Grap was like, I'm not gonna send them no beats. You just like, I got the address if you want to send me some beats. And I was never the dude like on some demo like, but I was like, well, the Grap, you know, it's an opportunity. Let me try it. And I sent them beats, and then that's how the Touch of Jazz stuff came about.
And is that how you got the joint on the Hidden Beach like compilation, also like the critically acclaimed joint?
Well, yeah, that's how.
Because this is crazy now, putting all these pieces together.
Yeah, all of that stuff kind of like is all tied in together, you know.
Because, you know, a lot of people really started talking about you after the Magnificent joint.
Yeah, I had a lot of joints on there.
Right.
Like, and if anybody looked at the credits, they was like, yo, because a lot of people think Jeff produced it, but then when you look on the credits, it's like, who's this dude?
Right, because there's a drum program by Kev Brown,
yeah,
right?
Like, and that was my first like real like that and the what ruling means and all that was like the beginning. So I know people was like, who is this guy? Like, you know.
And then you know, I think like almost the next thing I caught off you was like the ABB joint, and then you had the Always 12-inch, right? And you did something with the ninth version of it. So how did you hook up with Ninth? Because again, you know, as you know, heads may know both of y'all now at this point in the stage of your careers, but this was really before your guys' names were buzzing on that scene.
Yeah, I met all of them before the Listening came out. I met actually Jazzy Jeff gave me a copy of the Listening before it came out, and I used to go back and forth from Maryland to Philly. That was my road trip music, like, and then Grap had met little brother from hanging out with Pete, because they went over Pete's house, and Grap was there up in New York, and come to find out Fonte, he got family down here, so it was just kind of like a degree of separation, I guess. So that's how it ended up. And like I remember one day, 2003, like around New Year's holiday time, because Fonte had family down here, and like Grap came over and invited Fonte, and we came over and we did a joint, and it's actually the B-side of the ABB joint,
right?
Was actually the first song we actually recorded. So like that came about from that. And at the time, A Touch of Jazz had some type of deal with ABB.
Okay.
So and I think that was the first joint that they was going to put out with. But I recorded those songs at home in Maryland on the 4-track. And Grap and everybody came through, and we recorded the joints like crazy.
Yeah, you know, everybody's kind of like an equipment fiend, and you know, talking to you back then and hearing you operate, and in a sense, it sounded like you kept it simple in terms of like what you were using, and just really like kind of learn how to freak what you were using to get the sound that you wanted. How long did it really take you to get comfortable developing your sound? Because you know, early comparisons might have been to this guy or that guy, but then how long did it really take? You know what? This is me.
Right.
As opposed to like, I know what I like out of this guy and this guy, and then putting these things. How long did it take you to get comfortable with putting that there?
I don't know. It's like I'm still trying to figure it out. But I know what you said, because like when you first really making beats, it's like you listening to your favorite people and kind of like emulating them. And like with me though, I guess it's a good thing because we came up before YouTube and all of that stuff. So like you would hear like my favorite joint is Pete Rock Soul Survivor joint.
Right.
So it's like you would listen to it. And it was like, how is he making these beats? Like, how is he doing this? And I had the MPC. I use a different machine, but I was like, still like, how is he getting this? How is he chopping the samples? How is he, like? So it's like you try to it's like you try to do it like them, but you do it your own way because you don't really know how they're doing it. And then that way you kind of develop your own style. And also with just growing also with sample sources too, like it's getting into it, sampled a lot of jazz, a lot of soul and stuff.
And where did your influences come, in that regards to the joints that you were sampling? Like, was it like parents, relatives? Did you know another DJ had a producer had to be like, yo, let's go beat shopping, let me show y'all what to like look for? How did that?
Yeah, it definitely come from your parents. It came from your parents' record collectors. Like my parents collected records. My father used to collect 45s, so I still got all his 45s and stuff. It's not like a super crazy joint, but like
it's enough.
That's definitely And I'm kind of cheap now. I go for the dollar bins and stuff, but I'm always trying to find some stuff that I don't really know. Like lately, I've been branching out other than just on some progressive rock and just other type of things, other than just soul music and jazz and stuff like that. But like definitely early on, the influence was from like parents' record collection, pretty much.
Yeah. You mentioned Pete, you mentioned Grap, and obviously you had this like great relationship with Grap, and so when were you able to or have you ever really been able to pick Pete's brain about?
Nah, I never. That's a good question though. But I never sat down with Pete yo, when you did, you know what I mean? I never I just came from the school of just listen, observe, and just do your own And I grabbed so much inspiration from that. I never really jumped out there and. Because I'm still a fan, but at the same time, I don't want to
cross that line,
bother nobody, because it's still Pete Rock. You know what I mean? I'll never get out of that type of mind frame with people that I grew up with, listening to and stuff. So.
When can you remember when you first heard your joint in a mix being played?
Man,
was it on Future Flavors?
Well, the Future Flavors, that was crazy, and it's cause just being there at Future Flavors, it's not like you just at home and then you turn it on and you're actually there at Marley Marl's house, and you see them bobbing their heads and the reaction and everything. That's pretty crazy. The fact that you the initial stages of yo, I'm here, I'm in here. This is the stuff that I tune in and listen to. Now I'm here, and they playing my joints. It's kind of surreal. It's still you're on the outside almost, looking at yourself. What are you doing here? What the heck? It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And just speaking of Ray, because you mentioned PMD before, and a lot of people know Peter Rosenberg as his current persona on Hot 97 now, but you definitely knew him when he was doing that college radio and with you guys and critically and running around his brother Nick, who I knew pretty well at the time, right? What insight can you give about PMD that people may not know by the current Hot 97 that we get? Because I think a lot of people think that it's contrived, but that in reality he's a hip hop.
He's a hip hop dude. I know it's Hot 97, so you got to play the game and play some stuff that he's playing stuff now that he would never play back on the college days.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's the game you got to play, whatever. But yeah, he was seriously
But even
On
then,
the hip-hop,
I remember
on the
being
hip-hop,
back
yeah.
here and like staying up late to hear him play joints like yours. And
Yeah, the real
hearing
late,
your joints.
back when the show, when he, you know, yes, that was a big deal, man. Like, even at University of Maryland, like, I used to work at University of Maryland, and I didn't realize it was a radio station there, and they was playing, like, hip-hop and stuff. I went to an MC battle, and that's where I met some of the DJs from University of Maryland. And I was like, what? I didn't even know it had a radio station. You know, they had the small radius of the signal.
Right.
If you was in the area, I guess on campus, you could hear it. So, and then later on, they got online, so you could hear it. But yeah, he definitely came up on some hip hop stuff.
You know, and that's open things up in terms of the internet. But you talk about an MC battle, and we talked a lot about production, but oftentimes, man, like you rapping on like almost all your stuff.
Rap a little bit, do a little something.
And so like, what do you put into the MC side of things? Because here you are. There's a lot of stuff documented about your producers. There's videos. I remember you coming up to Fat Beats and making pick a record and making beats on the spot, and it was like an ill thing to see, and a demonstration of just like, well, this is what it takes just to break down a record and make a beat out of it. But then you go to your albums and you're rapping on a lot of your stuff, and how did that like come about? Because I know some producers like rap because I can't depend on these MCs to rap on my stuff, or I can't keep chasing all these guys. And I'm gonna lay down my tracks because I know how I want to hit these joints.
Right.
What led you to coming into the MCing, or were these things like concurrent?
They kind of like they go together, I guess. But I started off initially as an MC, like I just wanted to rap. I didn't make beats or nothing. This was years ago.
Right.
But then gradually, once I got into rhyming, I got into the beats, and then it kind of flip-flopped, like, because I never wanted to be like a Kanye West type dude, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I rap and I make beats, but so I wanted to be more like a Pete Rock. Eventually, I wanted to be more like, it's crazy, because initially I wanted to be a super rap dude.
Right.
And then once I got into the beats, it was just more fun to make beats.
Yeah.
So it was just like, which one is more fun? And I started meeting cats like Cy Young and like cats early in the game and stuff, and I was like, all right, I got the dynamic. Once the crew started building, it was like, all right, I could probably just be in the cut and just make beats, kick rhymes every now and then. Like, I Do What I Do was kind of like the intro. I wanted that to be like the introduction of me, but at the same time of my crew at the same time. That's why it's like features all on it. But I'm still rapping too, because I wanted to be able to do shows, but it wasn't like, hey everybody, I'm the new MC in town. Like, I wasn't trying to come off like that. I just wanted to come off like
right, it's part of the package.
Right. But it's weird because now it's like I almost confuse people, because now, like, I dropped the past couple years I've been dropping instrumental joints.
Yeah.
So like every once in a while you get the fans like, yo, when you gonna drop a joint with you rapping again? So like I got a new joint where I'm rapping and I'm like making beats. It's kind of like a compilation of everything. But yeah, like that's where it really came from, rapping and just having like, I wanted original beats to rap over. Back in the day, you could go to the Sam Goody, get the cassette tape, and it used to have a whole maxi single with the
right,
acapella.
yeah, all that. Yeah.
And cats used to go to the open mic and just rock the beat off the. But after a while, you kind of graduate from that and want like original joints to rap over. So once I got into that, it was like, you know what, this is more fun. Once I got the MPC, that was really like, yo, this is more fun than like writing rhymes. It's like homework. You know what I mean? But making beats, you got the buttons. You know what I mean? You making noises, and it's just. But then,
as you were making some beats, would you start forming some of the rhymes in your head? It'd be like, when I hit it, I know where I want to go with that.
Yeah, definitely. So, when it comes to me, usually when it comes to me writing rhymes, like I'll be making the beat, and then if I'm feeling the beat enough, I'll start writing the rhyme, because I kind of like when you're making the beat, it gets repetitive. The beat, you're hearing the beat over and over and over again. So by the time you finish it, you might not want to write. So if I'm really feeling it, I'll be like, let me just write now.
You mentioned the crew, low budget. and a lot spawned out of that, especially during that time period. You know, maybe 2004, 5, 6, 7, right? All in that period. Do you think that with the current climate, that something that organic could like spawn again now?
I think so. I think it's still a chance for like kind of like cruise type things to pop off. You got well they in the commercial area now, but like the TDE, like Kendrick and his crew, and you know, and it's still crews like Tyler and them. What's the Odd Future? Like they clicked up and came out the way they want to come out. So it's still, you know, it's still room to. It just doesn't. A lot of times it doesn't get the spotlight. Like a lot of the stuff, the type of music we do doesn't really get a lot of spotlight. That's the only difference.
You know, you went out to South America recently.
Yes,
right.
So yes.
And how did that open up things for you? Because you know you were kind of, this word like micro blogging about it. You put up updates on Facebook, and I'd see here and there. You'd be talking about things, and I could see like the range of emotions going on.
It was a lot, yo.
That
whole trip was crazy.
That trip. So how long were you out there, and what was that like for you? Because that sounded like you had to take a step outside of things to be able to make that reach to go out there.
Yeah, that was a crazy time. Yeah, I was out there for about 2 months. I was supposed to be out there for like a week, and ended up being out there for like 2 months. I got talked into staying, like, you know, it's not that hard to talk somebody into staying in Brazil, because if you don't have any kids and, you know, you got a flexible job.
Right.
And the, you know, promoter dude's like, yo, I get some more people out here, I can introduce you. Like, the whole thing started like, it's like, he was like, you been to the beach? I was like, nah. He was like, you ain't been to the beach yet? Yeah. It's Brazil, you ain't been to the beach? So like, kind of got Jedi mind tricked into staying, you know. And then once I stayed out there, I was just trying to hustle up work and like, you know, get extra shows and stuff out there. So it was definitely a rank, because it was the language barrier, and people was like, you was there for 2 months, you didn't learn any. No,
it's not easy.
No, I did not learn Portuguese.
Right.
Like, you know, like, so, you know, it's really not that easy. Plus, especially if you wasn't planning on, I was supposed to be out there for like a week.
Right,
so
rock some shows, do this like guest spots, whatever.
Like 2 shows, boom, boom, one in Sao Paulo, one in Rio, boom, boom, go home. Like, and I ended up being there for like.
So what's the scene like out there?
It's definitely a hip hop scene out there. It's like each place is different. Like Sao Paulo and Rio is different. It's more like Sao Paulo is more like culture, underground, New York feel.
Yeah.
And Rio is more like maybe Miami, California, more commercial feel, like radio, you know. And it's, you know, that's kind of, I guess that's the basic part, like the way I could call it, like the differences. I guess it's like in Rio, the more underground hip hop is kind of a newer thing, you know what I mean?
Okay, right.
It's kind of like
because I can see like how the city's laid out,
it's
right?
It's
and
a tourist town.
Yeah.
It's like Rio is the tourist area, like party, Miami-based trap music, whatever is popular out is going to be. Because you know, I went there, you know, I was like, I guess a Subway out here, you know what I mean? Like Subway sandwich joint. Yeah. Like I was like, what? And then you realize it, like this is the tourist area, so it makes sense, you know. But yeah, Brazil was dope. Like it was. This is hard to talk about because it's so much. Like,
but I could see. It seems like you picked up like a new region of fans.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
just like looking at like some YouTube videos and seeing like the comments coming in like Portuguese, and then people hitting you up on Facebook like in a foreign language. Like
mad Brazilian people on Facebook. I got mad Brazilian friends on Facebook. Crazy. It's weird because I tapped into a fan base that I didn't even know was really there like that. Like the show I had the show in Sao Paulo was sold out. Like, whoa, like what? Like, I'm in Brazil. Like, it was crazy. It's not, you know, you don't think about stuff like that when you at home just in your zone, like just doing stuff. Like, and you go out and everybody like, yo! Because, you know, most of the time, you know, we underground hip hop. You go do shows, it might look like this in here. You know what I mean? It look like 5 people.
Yeah.
But then you could go overseas or something, and it's like, yo, yo. It's like they pulling on you. It's like, what? It's like
the levels are definitely different.
The levels is crazy.
Now, where else is the music taking you besides? Was that your first? Like, have you been outside?
Oh yeah, been to. Last year I went to Australia, New Zealand.
Yeah. Now the more I think about it, because I'm like, oh, if you were up above, I'm sure you were out in Japan and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, even before up above, I went to Japan with Grap.
Okay.
Grap. That was like back in like 2003 probably. I've been on tour with Bahamadia, went to Europe back in the day, South Africa. A lot of places in Europe. I saw the name all the places in Europe, like Denmark and all that stuff. Japan, like I said. Never been to China, never been to Hawaii. Want to go there one day. But yeah, Brazil, South Africa, Europe, Australia, New Zealand.
Did you ever think the music would, like, when you were, first kind of started, that it would take you to all these places?
Nah, I never thought about it, man. Like, the music is the reason why that I even got a passport. You know what I mean? I don't know if I would ever travel around. Like, I probably had a regular job and wouldn't really be going anywhere. Really, I think about that a lot, because music will take you. Because it was random. That's how Brazil, like, they emailed me like, yeah, we want you to come to Brazil. It's like, what? All right, let's try to work this out. Like, you're paying me to come? Like, that's another thing too. Like, you get to go and like they pay for you to come there, and they give you money to perform. So that's a privilege in itself.
So, and it's kind of like a humble thought like that, because there's still that innocence in it, where you take a step back and you're like, I'm getting paid to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like from far away lands.
Yes, they paying for your plane ticket, they paying for your hotel, like literally come through and rock. And you can't be mad at that.
And I mean, the way things have gone since kind of the digital revolution took over, right? So once the wax started slowing down and we lost places like Fat Beats and what have you, right? I know the mindset has had to change a bit for the artists. Like I even saw it, you talking recently about like you might be working on a new 7-inch that's coming out or it's going to be coming out, right? And that there's still that market for vinyl. It just may be a little more niche at this point. Right. But how have things changed for you as an artist in that sense, where like, okay, the model that I used to have, where we were selling a few thousand units of vinyl and maybe X amount of CDs. Now that market is changed, right? And so now what do I do to stay viable? Because now with this digital stuff, it's like you can go and put it out there, and it's like, well, heads might just be content streaming it, as opposed to like going to Bandcamp and be like, I'm gonna pay $5 for like the EP or 7 or whatever it is.
Right, because you can listen to it right there.
So how has that changed things for you within the last few years?
I mean, you just basically give it to them in all the formats that you can, because it's some people. When the joint come out, they wait for the digital, or they wait for the vinyl, maybe. Some people will buy the digital joint, and then they'll still ask you like, yo, or they'll download the joint for free. They'll find
ask you when the vinyl's coming.
And be like, yo, I'm gonna buy the vinyl. So it's crazy. You got to be able to like hit them where they are. You know what I mean? It's definitely not like it used to be, where cats was pressing up 5,000 vinyls, 12-inch singles, and they was all selling. Like, we do more limited, definitely more limited
runs,
copies of vinyl now. Yeah, like the last joint we put out, the Raw Poetic, the Kev Brown Raw Poetic joint, we pressed up like 500 copies.
But that seems the way that a lot of heads are going with that too, because like just the economics of it, you gotta like almost artificially, in a sense, create some scarcity, right? To make heads chase it.
Let them know that it's a limited thing, and then maybe do some color vinyl, or just to make it more of a novelty or something. Now,
like as a producer, right? Like just having gone through this whole stretch, because I came in late '90s in the radio, right? So that's why when I contacted you, I was like, well, you know what, we kind of I did radio all along through, when you were putting out a lot of the joints that I got with me today, right? And so, like, what I was thinking was, well, like, now you go online and you see, like, artists like maybe, running specials for this thing and running specials for that, or like, trying to just reach out, I got these beats for X amount and this for that amount of money. How do you kind of keep it, because you don't seem to be that type of like, do that where it's like, well, heads know where Kev Brown's at, and you don't want to know where I'm at. Here's my man to get at me. We'll do this on this level, as opposed to, heads reaching out, because there seems to be that temptation online of just like heads.
That formula doesn't really. I don't think that really works. I'm not sure. I never tried that formula. So I don't know. I definitely tried to shop beats before, but not on the social media, like tweeting you like, yo, I got beats. But been fortunate, semi-fortunate enough to like have people contact me. At least now at this point, like, yo, I want some Kev Brown beats.
How much of a filter do you have when it comes to that, in a sense of like, well, like, if the business is correct, like, would you work? It's like, well, I gotta hear you to make sure this sounds right. Like,
it's definitely that process.
It varies from producers. Yeah,
it's that process too. It's definitely like a quality control type thing. Yeah. Too.
So, I guess to bring this kind of, to like a close, what do you see for yourself? Because, looking over like history, it's not just like hip hop. Like you said, you branching out, like taking sales from other places. You've done like a lot of R&B stuff too, right? So like where do you see yourself continuing, like with your music?
That's a good question.
With the whole landscape, everything seems to be constantly changing, good and bad.
I'm not really sure, man. I've been just doing joints on a consistent basis, just dropping joints. I'm kind of I can feel myself, I'm taking a new turn right now. Especially like after dropping mad instrumental joints, and then possibly dropping a joint with me rhyming again. So, I don't know, it feels like a new page maybe. Like it's the same chapter. It's kind of like I went full circle again. It's like I was by myself before making beats, and then the crew accumulated. But then again with this project, I'm kind of like, it's no crew on it. It's just all me this time again. Like I've just been home by myself again, like a little kid again.
Alone again for some time.
Well, yeah, word up. Like so. That's and like you said, just branching out to different people. Hopefully this will be the beginning of just another chapter, just like opening up, maybe doing some stuff with
I'm waiting for a break there for a second. So right. If heads want to get at you, like, what's the best way, if like they want to catch up on what Kev Brown is doing musically? What's the best way to like?
Well, they can hit me, just Facebook. I got the fan page on Facebook. I got Bandcamp, Kev Brown. What is it? Kev Brown /Bandcamp. I don't know what the whole the lingo is for it, but I'm on Tumblr, The Real Kev Brown. I still got the blog spot, kevbrown.blogspot.com. Working on the website, hopefully soon. Just all social media, Twitter, Twitter, Kev Brown, Instagram, Kev Brown Pictures, and I guess you can get a whole picture of everything, but definitely the Bandcamp you can hear. I'm on iTunes and all of that stuff, or fatbeats.com if you want to get the vinyl, all of that stuff, like it's all available online.
Definitely. Well, it's been good catching up with you, Kev, man. It's been a long time in the making, but I definitely appreciate it, Kev. So, folks, check out Kev Brown, social media everywhere, but definitely a lot of quality listening. Go back, check the whole catalog. All right, for DJ Primetime, Kev Brown, we out. Peace.